Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. It is time for the third challenge over at the Counterfeit Kit Challenge group, which is always a sketch challenge. And this was the sketch that was chosen for us this time around, and I love this sketch, and it just so happens that last month I created this cut file, which will work perfectly with this sketch. So let's dive in. So as part of the design team, we always get a heads up on what the month's activities are going to be. And this time around, I actually purposefully set aside some papers to go with this sketch so that I wouldn't run out of papers, because this is going to take a slice out of a good portion of each of these papers. So I wanted to make sure that I had stuff set aside. Plus this paper of florals, which is a Vicki Boutin paper, I knew I was going to fussy cut for those flowers in the sketch. And so here I am showing you the fronts and back sides of each of these papers so that I can get slices out of those. Now, I did get that orange slice out of the back of the floral paper, which I intended to use fussy cut, but because I needed a fourth print and I didn't have anything that I liked in my other papers, I knew I would use that small section, and I will show you that a little bit later. All right, I just wanted to say real quick that that cut file is available for free over on my blog, and the links are below if you want to grab that. Here I am turning those arches over so that I can adhere these on the back side. I'm going to use some scrap tape to tack these in place so that they will work as one unit as I continue working on this layout. So there they all are lined up. Here is the book that I keep my scrap tape in for mixed media, or just, general saving the tape for repurposing later. And this is one of the reasons why I save those scrap pieces of tape, so that I can tape these units together and be able to work with them. I will just end up leaving that tape in place when I adhere all this down, because nobody will ever see it. And here is a look at the back of that paper where I cut the orange arch out of, but I can use plenty of the rest of the paper for fussy cutting. Now, the thing that I did not set aside when I planned this sketch was a background paper. And so here I am looking at the papers I did set aside, trying to think about what I could use for the background, maybe piecing two pieces together. But then when I pull out this full sheet of paper that was still in my kit, I decided this would work perfectly. Those streaks at the bottom kind of look like a continuation of the rainbow heading down. And so I'm going to use that piece of paper. I can put my arches up towards the top, and then I have a perfect gap there to fill in with all my florals. I did a very general fussy cutting of these florals at first, just to make sure everything was going to work, because I was trying to be really kind of stingy with my papers. You notice a lot of these flowers have flat, straight edges on sides, and I wanted to make sure I could hide all of those flat edges here and there and still get a very full look. And so as I'm playing with these very roughly fussy cut out florals, I'm feeling like it's all going to come together and work. And while this was just my test run, you'll see that I do switch it up later and it will look different. But getting a test run down is a good first step for me before I do detailed fussy cutting of everything. So I'm happy with that. Off camera, I will do all that fussy cutting. And off camera, I will also do inking of my arches. Because these arches are pattern papers, they're not as solid as I would like them to be. They kind of mush into each other a little too much, especially the clouds and the butterfly print up there at the top. So this inking will help add distinction between each of those layers. Now the orange and the pink are pretty distinct, but at any rate, I'm going to do all of these layers off camera. And as you can see here with me back on, it really does help define each arch just a little bit more. And it doesn't take too long to get through that inking. Now I'm trying my very best to get this arch centered on the paper. And once I get it stuck down, I thought, yes, I'm good. And then I looked at it and it is farther set to the left than it is to the right. And you do your best. You do your best. A lot of that's going to be covered up with flowers anyway, so I'm good with that. So I got my photo. I'm going to double foam mount this so that I have room, plenty of room to tuck those flowers underneath. And this photo was actually taken of a picture frame. When my first kid was born, we did not have a digital camera yet. And so I had a lot of picture frames in the house to display pictures. And I continued that process with my other kids, even though digital cameras had already come into being. The thing was, I stopped hanging up the picture frames because we kind of ran out of wall space. And so, despite having these picture frames, this one in particular is the kind of the birth announcement of my third kid, my third and final kid. Um, we've never hung these things up. So they've been sitting in storage forever. I am taking everything apart. I'm saving the photos in photo sleeves, and those will go into her scrapbook album. But I did take a picture of that photo frame. Here I converted it to black and white because it'll offset the colors better. But I do have the full color picture also that I will tuck into her baby books, her early scrapbooks. And I'm going to save the memory of keeping those photo frames without having to keep the photo frame itself. So that is the whole purpose behind this layout. Pardon me. And I'm just tucking and layering those photos around that picture as we go. When I took that picture, I took it from too far away. So when I zoomed in to crop it down to just the frame and not, my carpet in the background, it came out kind of small, and I thought I would want it to be much bigger, but I'm kind of glad that it ended up on the smaller side because that is leaving plenty of room for these big floral pieces to work around the photo. I did also fussy cut extra butterflies out of that butterfly paper, so I'm going to go ahead and get those tucked in here as well. I am altering these things to fit my space better whenever it feels appropriate. So that is what I just did with that final butterfly. And a few more butterfly tucks later, I am just about done with this layout. I think I've got one more butterfly to go here. I'm very happy with how this layout came out. These are things that I would not ordinarily think to do on my own, so that's why sketches can be so much fun. And this layout wasn't too difficult, besides fussy cutting flowers for a while, but I just did that while my husband and I were watching a show. And, I'm saying that I'm going to add my journaling over the top arch just to tell you that little bit of story that I already said, and that finishes off this layout. So not too complicated in terms of design and structure. So just a little bit of time fussy cutting, and you have this beautiful layout all based on that wonderful sketch. So I want to thank you for being here as always, and I will be back soon with another video for you. And until then, have an artful day.